Hey, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining me for today's devotion. We're starting a new book on Sunday, the Book of Beginnings, also known as Genesis. And we thought it might be fun to go through the days of creation from chapter 1 and the first 4 verses of chapter 2. Maggie and Trudy talked about day 1 yesterday and how God created light first. And his light shined in the darkness. The New Testament tells us that Jesus was here in the beginning doing all this creating. And we know Jesus is the light of the world, don't we? I just love how God is bringing order out of chaos. Because remember, on day 1, there was just water and darkness. It was formless and void. And God caused there to be light. And this is the first verse of this beautiful creation poem, where God is bringing order out of chaos, just like he'll do in our lives if we let his light shine into our soul. Scholars think that this might have actually been part of a liturgy, like part of their worship service, something they recited to remind them it was God who gave them creation. It would do us good to do this too. The Creator created creation. And because he did this, because he created, he has every right to make the rules, doesn't he? But this poem follows a neat form, and God said, "Let there be," this proclamation. And it was so. And then he adds, and there was evening and morning the first day. It follows the same pattern throughout this whole poem. As God calls new things into being. This poem serves to remind us that God is a God of order and purpose. Each verse has time mentioned, evening and morning. It has a command, God said, and the execution, and it was so, and then the assessment, and God saw it was good, and the time, evening and morning. Good order of his created world under the serene rule of God. The design of the world was not accidental. It is based on the will of God. I love that God said, "Let there be." It's almost like he's giving permission for creation to exist. He's not creating like we would create in a factory. He's giving permission for things to be that have never been before. The first question us Westerners ask is, how? How did God do all this? And we miss the beauty of the poem when this is the center of our focus. Imagine standing in front of Van Gogh's Starry Night. Wow, I wonder what kind of brush he used. I wonder what he made his paint out of. I wonder what the chemical composition is of those paints. I wonder what kind of canvas he used. And what kind of wood did he stretch that canvas on? What is the time frame here? No, you wouldn't do any of that. You would enjoy looking at the painting. So when we look at the creation poem, we need to focus on the beauty of God creating, the beautiful rhythm in the word and cadence. Love it for what it is, and don't try and make it into something it's not. Confess and celebrate the world as God intended it. In day 2, God said, "Let there be an expanse in the midst of the water, and let it separate the waters from the water." And God made the expanse, and he separated the water that were under the expanse from the waters that were over the expanse, and it was so. And God called the expanse heaven, and there was evening and morning the second day. Okay, so remember back in day 1, the Spirit of God hovered over the waters. Now God is separating the waters and making what we would call atmosphere or sky. And in doing so, he created this vapor canopy that covers the entire earth, which essentially made the earth like a giant terrarium, a perfect place for us to live. We speculate that this vapor canopy shows up again in a few chapters in what caused the flood of Noah's day. But we don't want to get sidetracked here and start looking at how, but just celebrate and enjoy the fact that he did. He's really just preparing the canvas here, and he'll kick it up in the next few days. But he's bringing order out of chaos, just like he had done in countless lives throughout history, right on down to today. Let his light shine into your soul and separate the things of this world that are dragging you down and threatening to drown you from the things of heaven. God's bringing order because he loves his creation, which we are a part of. Love you guys. Have a great day.